Hello, my beautiful soul family. If we haven't yet met, I'm Cheryl Sitz, and I'm delighted to be doing this Facebook Live in our community tonight to talk about our animal companions. It's kind of a quiet night. I wonder if it's as cold everywhere as it is here. Aw, Milo passed 3 years ago. I know some of these animal companions, they're so much more than animals, and I can't imagine I'm really ever going to get over Loki. Loki found me when his mother was killed, I guess, on the highway, the busy highway where I lived, when he fit in the palm of my hand and he needed a bottle, he needed somebody to feed him. And he was with me his whole life, and he was an amazing cat. I've never had a relationship like that with a pet before. And so I can't imagine that any amount of time is ever going to help me get over him, quote unquote. But I'm sure that it'll just kind of change over time, right? Tom, you've had 3 years and you're still not over it. I get that. Mario, you've got a lovely little fur family over there, so pop some of their pictures in there too. Yeah, so let me know, please, also if you have any questions about connecting with your animals, if you've got any specific challenges or things going on. And I'll try and remember to ask that again later, because there's a lot of great help in this community, and we can help each other with our animal companions because they really rely on us for help, and there's a lot that we can do for them. So I want to talk about that a little bit more as we get going tonight. Um, so I'll just give it another minute here. I am really digging this painting that my friend made for me that she gifted me this last weekend that's hanging behind me. Isn't it gorgeous? It's so bright and colorful. And I thought, if we're going to talk about pets transitioning and stuff, we should probably have some colorful artwork going on in the screen. Um, Although, it's a mixed bag when our pets transition, isn't it? We're sad because we miss them so much, and I still may cry in this thing, who knows? But I'm also really happy because I feel how free he is on the other side, and that body had become quite a burden for him to move around in, but he really didn't want to leave, and he fought it as long as he could. He fought the good fight, and so I love that he can be with me wherever I am. I feel him in other places sometimes, and that's fun because he really couldn't do that when he was here. So it's kind of fun when they're free of bodies, kind of like any other loved one, right? That we can feel their spirit with us. So I guess I'll get started here. If you're just joining us, please let us know you're here. Please say hi, and that way we can acknowledge you. And if you have any questions, please post your questions and comments in the box. Post your pet pictures. That'll keep it fun. I wanted to share a little bit about my cat because he was so much more than a cat. As I just shared, I had him his entire lifetime, which was the first time I've had that with a pet. I've gotten them young, but not still on a bottle young, and had them until they transitioned. And at one point, I actually reached out to Ava and I said, Ava, who is this cat? Because I am so connected to this cat. It doesn't even feel healthy. It's not like, I mean, he's a cat and I'm a woman, and we have this very intimate feeling relationship. And so she channeled for me that Loki had actually been, this is a great little story. He was my husband in Egypt, and I was into the sacred artwork, the symbols and all of that, and he used to make fun of me. And he also, that he didn't believe they were sacred, and he also didn't like cats very much. So then he figured out that, yes, the artwork was sacred. There was something to it all. And so this time he came back as my cat, and having hated cats. So I did all that I could to make his cat life as comfortable as possible. Anybody who's been here has seen that I spoiled him rotten. So at least I can feel good that I did everything that I could for him. That's not to say that we didn't have some challenging times. You know, there are times, and it seems like that inevitably comes up after anyone we love transitions, where we look back at, oh, I wish I hadn't done this, or I wish I hadn't said that. I don't give that a lot of energy, but it does come and pass my mind sometimes. And overall, though, I have to say, I know that I gave him a good life, and I know that he benefited a lot from me being on this holistic path toward the later part of his life, because so I was still doing pretty much traditional medicine for my cat. And I would take him to the vet when, regularly when he had pain that I didn't know how to deal with or whatever. And it started to hit me that, I'm not even practicing the kind of medicine that I'm putting my cat to. So I don't really want to do that anymore. I want to get as holistic as I can with my cat. I fed him really high quality food, and I had him on a pain medicine that they were giving me. I forget what the name of it was, but they could only give me this tiny little dose once a week in liquid form in a syringe that I could put on his food. And I could see that it helped his pain, because he was a Maine Coon. So he was a big cat. He was like a small lion. And that's a lot of pressure on their joints. So they have a lot of joint pain. And I could really see that coming in the last years of his life. And the medicine that they gave me, it helped him for 2 or 3 days. And then he was in a lot of pain. And so I was looking for solutions, and I started to turn to my holistic community. And there are some wonderful holistic solutions for animals. Top of my list is CBD oil. When I got that cat on CBD oil and started putting the drops on his food, I couldn't believe the change in him. And when he didn't have his CBD oil, I could tell it. I could tell it within a day or two that he was in a lot of pain. So I can't say enough good stuff about CBD oil for certain conditions. And I do have a great company that I work with, and I posted that on my website. So you could go over to journeyofpossibilities.com and get a link to that CBD oil if you want to check that out. I also am an advocate of the flower essences, things like the Rescue Remedy and other flower essences that are made specifically to work with pets on different things. You can reduce their anxiety, especially around things like storms and thunder. And when you're going to move, it's a great thing to use those. So flower essences can be really great. I did a lot of Reiki and energy work and working with light with Loki. And like with a person, I would ask his higher self's permission. I would ask if he would like to receive some Reiki or some energy work, and then I would give it to him. And one thing I have learned from working with animals and from White Eagle Lodge, where they also do healing lists and work with animals, animals are super sensitive to energy work. They don't need anywhere near the energy work that we need. So I would put it in very gently with the intention that it only be absorbed into him at the rate that he could, absorb it and work with it. And I worked with white light and left his higher self to discern the spectrum of colors, which colors would be most beneficial to help him heal. So that was really good work. He showed a lot of relief when I would do Reiki with him, and other people would come over. And because I have all these lovely light workers in my life, everybody that came around loved Loki. He was like our little shaman. He would do things when we would have ceremonies here. He would take entities from people. He would do all this really magical stuff, whether I told him not to or not. He was his own cat, right? But the flip side of that is everybody that knew him loved him. So when I would put the word out that Loki's having a bad day or whatever, he would get distance healing. People would come over and work on him. When I left town on trips, people would come and sit with him and give him energy work and make sure he was comfortable. So he had a really good life for a cat. But one of my friends does cold laser therapy. She works with special needs children, and she helps them to integrate their reflex actions and things. And so she got started with the cold lasers. She would bring her lasers over, and I'll have to come back and put it in the comments, a couple of pictures. I have a couple of pictures of her with these lasers around him. And she was very respectful of his space, and she would ask his permission, and then he would let her come in and do this laser work with him. And toward the end, he soaked it up. She had lasers all around him, and he would just lay there and absorb that. And they would run through the spectrum and pick up different tones and frequencies that his body needed. And again, he would absorb what he needed and ignore the rest. So I have seen firsthand how much holistic healing of all these different ways is really beneficial for our animals, as well as, of course, a good diet and lots of good, clean water. He got really good Berkey filtered water, just like I drink. So all of these things, I believe, contribute to their comfort as well as ours, and to their health as well as ours. Let me know. I don't know if my comment box is okay. Here we go. Yep, it wasn't working. Hang on a second and let me catch up. Okay. Hi, Eva. Good to see you. Candace and Shannon, hello. Let me just scroll through here and say hi to everybody. Claudia. So sorry. It's funny. I'm using my laptop this time and the scroll bar doesn't always work. So, oh, look at the kitties. Thank you. Hi, Kathleen. You guys let me know if you have questions specific to what I'm talking about as well. Pulsed magnetic therapy. That sounds wonderful too. Yes, my Maine Coon was huge. The CBD oil works really well. And the company that I work with, Candace, they actually put the sheet in there with how many drops depending on their weight and all the other stuff. So they can be really, really helpful. And they have vets on staff. Be picky about where you get your stuff from and make sure you get the support that you need to feel really good. Something else that I did was douse for the amount of medicine. I also used a product called Urinary Gold, which I am just going to rave about because all the product reviews were fabulous. It really helped take care of his urinary tract when he got older as well, so that, his kidneys were as strong as they could be. In the end, it was his kidneys that were going out, but I'm kind of jumping ahead of the story. Bach flower essences, yes. Hi, Silke. So good to see you all. I apologize for getting behind there. I'll have to keep scrolling this manually now. I don't know why it doesn't keep up, but whatever. So again, if you have something that works really well with your animals, please post that. Post your animal pictures. Let's all help each other take care of our critters. I wanted to go back and speak a little bit about dowsing because it kind of works really well with the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is communicating telepathically with our animals. So when I went to Peru in 2012, I was blessed to be with a woman on a hike that taught me a lot about communicating telepathically with animals. And in that hike, I used that to call a macaw to me across the jungle. And it really imprinted on me, hey, this stuff works. So I came home and started to use it. She works with horses. The woman that taught me this works with horses telepathically and teaches people how to move them across the arena just by visualization and sending them messages. So I came home and started to do that with then 2 cats. And I kept doing it with Loki, and it really helped me connect with him around, do you want this medicine? Do you want this food? How are you feeling? Do you want to go outside? Do you just want to be left alone? And I will also say that it's easy to get jumbled up when you're really close to someone. So I'm asking these things about my cat, and particularly toward the end, when I was asking him, are you done here? I wanted to hear his truth. I really did, because I wanted to respect his truth. But I think part of me just wasn't ready to handle it. So I thought he was saying he was done, but a part of me was going, no, look at him. He's got another burst of energy. He's fine. And I had a couple of really trusted friends around me, light workers, that I could lean into and say, hey, I'm getting this. And until he was really done, they would tell me, no, he's still pretty happy. And Mario would say, he looks good to me. And he had a couple of times where he almost left and then bounded back. So it gets confusing, right? They get like this especially cats. He literally had like 5 or 6 lives before he finally said, I'm done. But that at the end, the one who had come and done the cold laser therapy, Rosemary, she said, yeah, he feels done. And I went to him and I really, really asked my guides for help to open my heart and hear his truth. And he was done. And so I was like, okay, I'll get you help. My vet wasn't available. So I called someone else who's an animal lover, and I found another vet. And it was all by divine design. This vet was amazing. They did the best job possible in putting him to rest. And because I was communicating with him telepathically, I literally did that until I felt his soul leave his body. We had a big in-depth conversation. So that connection is so important. And when I wasn't sure of my answers, I doused. So dowsing can be another nice way to get your confirmation if you don't have a friend nearby that you can also ask for help with that. So I love how all these tools work together to help us when we kind of get in our own way. So let me catch up again here and see if there's any questions. Let me know if you have any questions or something you want to talk about this. Hi, Anita. Oh, it's good to see you all too. I love this other conversation that goes on in the comments. Candace, my client's animals hijacked the healing. I was there for her. Many times these lovely creatures have hijacked our sessions to get their energy addressed. Love it when the animals realize some of us can hear them. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the healing works so well for them. And you know, they heal us all the time. They heal us with their unconditional love. They heal us with their vibration. They take things from us. They take these entities, these physical forms that hold lower vibrational thoughts and congestion and illness and disease, and they take as much from us as they can take. And it makes them sick so that we don't have to get sick. What an incredible being to do that. So any chance I've got that I can help an animal, I always ask their permission and then I help. And it just feels so good to help them because they do so much for us. I'm just catching up the comments here. Okay, so where did I get to? So I asked him when it was his time to transition. You would think I would have made plans because I knew this was coming. Like I said, he rebounded like 5 times in the last 2 years. And I surprised myself by getting his ashes and all of that. I'm not surprised now, but in the moment, it was instinctive. I knew what to do. They asked all the right questions. They handled him respectfully. And so I do have him back with me in another form. But it was interesting to feel his soul leave his body and to realize that even just that body was still very special to me, even without him in it. It took me a few more minutes before I could actually leave the room. And I just kept thanking him because he was such a servant to me on so many levels, and I to him. So it was a great opportunity to be able to share this lifetime together. And I wanted to share a funny story because so the Sunday after I put him, he transitioned on Friday, and I had a talk to give at White Eagle Lodge at our church on Sunday. And somehow I got up and gave the talk, and I don't know how I did it. And at the end of the talk, I sat back down in the chair in this beautiful golden rose temple, and I felt something at my feet, and it was like he swished through my legs and laid down on my feet. And that was it. It was, I just knew I was going to start bawling, but how beautiful that he was able to go to church with me. And then it was a few days later, and I got this message from him. I was remembering when we had a hurricane here. And it was so precious because I had only been divorced, I think, 2 or 3 years when this hurricane hit. And it was a big one. And I was in the house here, just Loki and I in this house. And it got so wicked in the middle of the night that I actually got my stuff off my bed and went in my walk-in closet and made a pallet on the floor where I knew the structure was better in case anything got crazy. And I laid down and I started doing energy work to blow this shield out around my house and take care of us. And I looked out across the floor in the bathroom. Here's Loki. He always laid between me and the entrance to the room that I was in. And he's my little lion, but he's laying there and he's just shaking, right? Because he hated thunder, he hated rain, and he's just quivering. And he laid there all night like that, shaking. He would not come in the closet with me. He wouldn't move from his post. He was protecting me in his world. And I told that story so many times, like how sweet that this cat thought he was protecting me. So I was remembering that after he transitioned, and he showed me that he actually was protecting me. He was laying there, terrified himself, doing energy work on the storm and on me and on the house. And I had been too distracted to even recognize what he was doing. So I wanted to share that. Like, another beautiful thing about when they transition is they can share this information with us that we may not hear when they're here, and we're so ready to receive whatever when we feel them. So I thought that was a really neat story. I'd love your questions and your stories and anything about your pets too, because I don't just want this to be about Loki. I want us to acknowledge all of our animal companions and holistic remedies that work when they're aging and in pain, ways that you communicate telepathically, tricks and tips. Let's share here so that we can all be better connected to our animal companions. Let's see. Tom, I feel my Milo that passed 3 years ago. Nightly rituals I used to do with him as if he's still there. Oh, I totally get that. I totally get that. I'm going through all this with my cat Shadow right now. He's such a gentle soul and has helped me through some really tough times in my life. He gives himself completely. Yes, Shannon, they do. They are selfless. It's amazing how much they give to us. Hi, Gretchen. So good to see you. All right. So does anybody have questions or ideas for topics on this that we haven't covered yet, or anything they want to add to this? Because I don't just want this to be my talk. I want this to be our talk, and we've got just a few minutes. So if there's something you'd like to add, I'd love to address it. Hi, Heather. And there are a lot of animals transitioning right now. I wanted to speak to that. That's why I'm giving this talk right now, not just in honor of Loki, although it has to be in honor of Loki with me. So I know you'll understand. There are a lot of pets transitioning and ready to transition, just like there are people. And I just think it's so important to give their little soul its full respect. Thank you for what you're doing. What do you need from me? Are you comfortable? How can I help you? Are you ready to go now? Do you want my help to transition, or would you like to transition on your own? That was another biggie for me. Do I let him choose his time? And as much as I tried to plan ahead and give him autonomy, you don't really know until it happens, right? So when Rosemary did help me see clearly that, yes, that is a yes I'm getting from him. He is ready to go. And I kind of thought it was. Then it was within just hours of that and us finding a vet that would help him to transition, because I asked him if he wanted help and I got a yes. I got a strong yes. So I started looking for help. Well, one of the things that cats do anyway is they stop eating. So he had stopped eating for a couple of days, and he had done that before and gone back to his food. So I didn't know if he was being picky about the food or what he was doing, right? And he had gone off his food. So what I understand is they stop eating and then their organs shut down, and that's how they transition. And as soon as I heard his, yes, I'm ready to go, and yes, I want your help, and started to find a vet, his kidney shut down. He jaundiced within a couple of hours. And by the time we got him to the vet, he was really obviously done. And the vet took one look in his ears. He was jaundicing, and you could just tell he was on his way out. So I'm so grateful that Angels showed up for all the right work. And even the place that cremated him did a beautiful job. They sent me a lovely packet with all these brochures and stories and the Rainbow Bridge poem in its entirety. And it was just wonderful. So know that the right angels will be there for you if you need support in that time as well. Let me just catch up. Aww. Yes, our animal guides are so dedicated with us. Dosing with CBD oil, yes. So Loki was a big cat, and I was putting according to the chart, and then it occurred to me to douse for it. And when I doused for it, it was a lot less than what the chart said, but he responded more strongly. So I think it's great to have those charts and things as guides, but if we can't get clear connection with them to get numbers and things like how many drops, even when I did it intuitively, I wasn't quite getting what I was getting dousing. So I'm not too proud to douse for his drops in the morning. So I would do that at least half the time. I would douse and make sure I was close to where he wanted it to be. And it fluctuated a lot. One day he wanted 8 drops. The next day he needed 15 drops. The next day he needed 10 drops. But we went on like that for months. So it really did give him some time with me that he wouldn't have had otherwise, because he was done. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Oh, Tom, tears in your eyes. I know. I don't know why I'm not crying. I'm probably going to get off this camera and start bawling. But I have cried a lot, and that's been good too. I've cried a lot of tears, but I think part of it is I knew this was coming. I had no idea I was going to handle it, but I knew it was coming, and so I think I started grieving this a while back. And I've canceled trips to be here with him. It's kind of been like taking care of an aging parent. I redid my house for this cat. I took the bed down off of its frame so he could get up because I have a four-poster antique bed and he couldn't jump up anymore. So I took the bed down to him. I put plastic lining on everything because he was losing bladder control. I mean, like it is like an elderly person, and it's got its own complications. And I just kept telling myself, I won't get Loki again. It's worth it. I'll do what I have to do. So for me, at least, it was important for me to put the house back together a little bit when I came back home, because if I left it the way it was, then every time I looked up, I was going to be looking for him. I still did for a few days, but with the house, without all of those props the way I had them, it enabled me to kind of move on too and to let him go, because I didn't want to keep pulling his soul back here. I wanted to be at peace enough that I could let his soul transition and play with me from the other side. So I love this conversation. Thank you all so much for this space that we could talk about this tonight. Gretchen, I had my dad's cat. After we moved, he passed after we moved. He was found across the road from us. I knew he was there. He was spotted. He was seen the day before, happy lying in the sun. A few days ago, oh, that's a beautiful story. Thank you. He was nowhere to be found. Then a few days after my dad found him, passed away. I thought that's what was going to happen with Loki. I thought I was going to go find him passed away. And I'm kind of glad I didn't have to, because I don't think I would have been in a very good state. Aw. Loki is healing the world with his story now. Oh, healing the world. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. No, we're never ready to lose a pet. We're never ready to lose a person. We're never ready for the separation, right? And it's so true. Oh, thank you for this conversation. And if your pet's elderly and aging, please use this community for support. Let us know what you need. Ask your questions about things that you're not sure about, how to make them more comfortable. Ask us to send them light and love. I was always asking my light worker community to help with Loki because he needed all the help he could get me in. So I want to be there for you and your pet, and let me know how I can help and send Reiki and send light and whatever I can send. And they're beautiful beings. And, my cat was my husband in another life. So who knows who these pets have been for us in other lives, and they're there for us. So we want to be there for them. So I guess I'll wrap it up for now. If you have other questions, or if you join us later, please put them in the comment box, because we'll keep this conversation going. Oh, these conversations are so beautiful. These comments are so beautiful. We are going to do our next Facebook Live is going to be November 28th. And that one is going to be Ava. She's going to do that one on her own. We're doing these solo once in a while just to kind of expand. And then we'll come back together. So on 12/12, we'll be back together coming to you. So I hope that you'll join us. If you have a topic you want to hear about, let us know. And keep the conversations going in these after we wrap up, because we will come back and answer your comments and questions. And we appreciate you joining us, whether it's live or 3 days later. We love that you join us and share in the conversation. So happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. It is definitely a time for gratitude for the loved ones that we still have with us in skin or fur or fins or wings. And for those that have crossed to the other side, there's a big party on Thanksgiving on the other side too. And so I think we can just get still in our meditation and feel them and connect with them anytime we want to with our gratitude. So this Thanksgiving, I will be giving special thanks for all of you. This community has been a beautiful godsend in my life. I'm so grateful for it and grateful for you. So with that, I will say good night. Thank you, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. And we'll see you here on Harmonic Convergence 333. Good night.